In this lunchtime news broadcast, we bring you the latest news, both local and international, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. Here are some of the news headlines. Hamunyela is entitled to just 60,000 Namibian dollars, the state argues. Murder accused shaky after Wassefall's death, and looting cost the government 700,000 Namibian dollars. I am Ashwin Berry, and this is NMH at 1. In the midday news update, the Teachers Union of Namibia recently signed a recognition agreement with the Namibia University of Science and Technology to have a permanent representative at the university's academic staff. According to the union, this is a historic event because since NAS's inception, its academic staff have not been represented by a union. TUN moving forward will now be a union that will be responsible for negotiating the salary increases and employment conditions for the staff, Union Secretary General Mahongora Kavihua said. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news coming up after the break.
The My.NA Cars Show provides viewers with the best in-class cars content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest cars-related news, products, and services. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Cars, more than just a ride.
Heading into this afternoon's visual news, Benita Imbamba, chairperson of the Erongo Regional Council Management Committee and regional councillor for Arandis constituency, celebrates the voluntary medical male circumcision Namibia at 270k Smart Cuts milestone event at the Mondesa Sports Field in Swakopmund. Desiree Khassis reports.
Today to deliver the welcoming remark, very simple. Today we are celebrating an important national milestone of 270,000 medical male circumcisions here in Erongo region. This achievement merits our celebration as part of male engagement in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Men have been known for years to have low health-seeking behavior. Throughout the HIV response, it has been men who have been slow to show up for services such as HIV counseling and testing, among others. This milestone demonstrates that men can go for health services given the right package of information, as well as the right motivation. Over the years, we have seen an increase in the number of men showing up for VMMC services, which has resulted in 270,000 smart cuts among men and boys in Namibia. Hey, give yourself omake, men, and keep up the good going. Next time when we come here, we must talk about 100,000. Not 100,000, sorry, but 500,000 we must double up. As I'm about to welcome you to this auspicious event, I would like to highlight that the Erongo region has contributed over 17,000 circumcisions. Erongo, next time when we come, we must be at 50,000. The region is committed to do more, and we trust that with the assistance from our development partners, we can do better. I would therefore like to welcome you all with a quote by Maya Angelou which says, quote, "Do the best you can until you know the better. Then when you know better, do better," unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome you to take part in the voluntary medical male circumcision to 270,000 milestone celebration here in Swakopmund. Thank you very much.
The Namibian Sun reports that amid concerns about an already bloated public service wage bill, unions representing civil servants last month submitted salary increment demands to the government. More on this in the newspaper review segment after the break.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navraag, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
Heading into the newspaper review, the Namibian Sun reports that amid concerns about an already bloated public service wage bill, unions representing civil servants last month submitted salary increment demands to the government, which includes an 8% salary hike across the board. Workers also want an increase in housing allowance for below management by 20%, an increase in housing allowance for management by 8%, an increase in kilometer tariff to $7 per kilometer, and an increase in transport allowance of below management by 20% for the 2023-24 fiscal year. On the paper's page 3, while controversial retired Major General Thomas Hamunyela is suing the Namibian police for $420,000 Namibian dollars, the state has argued that he is only entitled to $60,000. Hamunyela took legal action following his alleged unlawful, arbitrary and unnecessary arrest for stock theft, which saw him spending 3 nights behind bars in January 2021. This is contained in the heads of argument of both the plaintiff, Hamunyela, and the defendant, the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security. The trial, which commenced on Tuesday, is being heard by High Court Judge S.C. Shemin Chase. Hamunyela filed the civil suit in March 2021 following his 12 January 2021 arrest after he was accused of having stolen livestock valued at $30,000 Namibian dollars in the Kavango West region. Republican reports that the Ministry of Finance says negotiations with service providers continue to progress towards a better PSE-MAS. Any health service provider on contract with the State Medical Aid Fund for the provision of services must claim based on tariffs set out in the contract. Service providers that don't claim based on the lawful contract tariffs run the risk of breaking the contract and having it suspended. The Ministry of Finance and state-owned enterprises, through its spokesman Wilson Shikoto, said this in reaction to questions about consequences or fines applicable to service providers that do not adhere to tariffs in their contracts. A rural doctor wrote to Republican to inform about certain doctors that ask for between 2,500 and 5,000 Namibian dollars to admit and treat patients at a private hospital for normal and cesarean section birth procedures. On page 3, 2 same-sex married couples last week continued their fight in the Supreme Court against Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security to have their marriages recognized in Namibia. Namibian-born Johan Potgieter and South African Daniel Negashu, as well as Namibian Annette Sieler and German Anita Sieler-Lelos, have launched an appeal against a High Court decision from January 2022 when their application to have their marriages recognized was dismissed. The High Court had also decided that both foreign spouses could not get residency rights in Namibia. 5 judges in the Supreme Court, including Chief Justice Peter Shivute, Deputy Chief Justice Petros Damasep, and Judges Sylvester Mayenga, Alton Hoff, and Dave Smuts, heard the appeal last Friday. Allgemeine Zeitung reports that the hype around hydrogen development in Namibia seems to temporarily be dying down. Now the focus is on oil production. At the beginning of the week, the Minister of Mines and Energy called on the public to participate in these developments. Promptly, the sense of entitlement of some politicians increases into the seemingly absurd. Environmental risks, on the other hand, continue to go unnoticed. On page 3, Azan Madisia, charged with murder, explains the scuffle between her and Shannon Wassefall. Some blood flows in the testimony and the prosecution begins its cross-examination of the accused. Stay with us as we continue with the newspaper review after the break.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
The Namibian newspaper reports that the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security is drafting a bill to deal with the plight of 1,441,084 stateless people in Namibia who are undocumented. The ministry spokesperson Magreto Kalo told the Namibian yesterday that those found to be stateless will have their status regularized in terms of a new law to be enacted. She says currently the country does not have a law that deals with stateless individuals. Namibia is deeply concerned about the problem of statelessness. Stateless people have no legal protection and they cannot access social grants or banking services, find work or traverse borders. All of this leads to poverty. I believe the number is 141,000. Now on page 3, Azan Madisia was agitated and shaking when her brother found her at her flat, where 21-year-old Walvish Bay resident Shannon Wassefall lay dead on the floor in Madisia's bedroom, according to testimony heard in Windhoek High Court yesterday. Testifying in his defense during his and Madisia's trial before Judge Christy Liebenberg, Stephen Mulundu, who is a brother to Madisia, told the judge he found his sister quite shaky, with her voice shaking as well, nervous and pacing around after she had summoned him to her. Despite having quality meat and healthy livestock, farmers in the Zambezi region are dissatisfied with the prices of their produce fetch, as many resort to the informal meat trade, New Era reports. They sell their meat under the trees alongside the main roads of Kongola, leading to Katima Mulilo, hoping motorists will be attracted. For many years, farmers from this part of the country did not have a market for their livestock products and could not benefit from the luxury markets where Meatco is exporting products from south of the veterinary cordon fence. On page 3, the government, through the Ministry of Safety, has to fork out almost 700,000 Namibia dollars after High Court Judge Orben Sibeya ruled in favor of Keetmanshoop businessman whose truck was looted after an accident in 2020. Businessman Jasper Erasmus Blau instituted a civil case of 6,999,460 after police officers allegedly did nothing to protect his goods that were looted during the accident on 3 August 2020 between Mariento and Keetmanshoop. Part of the cargo was scattered at the scene, while some remained intact next to the trailer of the truck. Blow testified in the case. Now, Market Watch informs that the 2022 financial performance of Nedbank Namibia reflected an excellent performance across all key metrics in a complex and difficult external environment. We are proud to share our year-end results, which demonstrate the resilience and adaptability of our business, said Sepi Kankondi, chairman of Nedbank Namibia. Nedbank Namibia delivered strong headline earnings growth of 35% for the financial year ended 31 December 2022, driven by increased interest rates as well as growth in the group's non-interest income combined with good cost management. Now, the SA economy is shrinking 1.3% in the fourth quarter. More on this in economic news after the break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Heading into economic news, South Africa's economy shrank by 1.3% in the fourth quarter, much worse than economists expected. It is also the largest contraction since the third quarter of 2021, when deadly riots in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng caused massive economic disruption. Economists polled by Reuters expected GDP to shrink by only 0.4% for the last quarter of 2022. 7 of the 10 South African industries contracted in the last few months of 2022, Statistics SA reported on Tuesday. Record levels of power outages took a heavy toll, with only 2 days without load shedding in the whole quarter. Over half of the quarter's load shedding was stage 3 and above. Let's head into the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar is up next to the euro and US dollar, trading at 18.58 next to the US dollar, but maintaining its value next to the Chinese yuan and British pound. Capricorn, First Rand, Letsego and Namibia breweries all registered upticks, whilst MTC and Rep and Namibia Asset Management also maintained their value. Now the local index closed on a 0.01% uptick, whilst the overall index made a downturn of 1.64%. Looking at commodities, gold is the only one that took a dip of 0.56%, whilst copper, zinc and Brent crude oil all made some upticks. Now, South Sudan's president has sacked the foreign minister without explanation. More in Africa News after the break.
Iranga Talk brings you community news in the Oranga region. For news-related or advertising queries, contact irangatalk@synergy.com.na. Iranga Talk, our community, your news.
South Sudan President Salva Kiir yesterday sacked the foreign minister, the president's spokesperson said, less than a week after the dismissal of the ministers of defense and interior, and he did not provide an explanation. Foreign Minister Mayik Ayul is a close ally of Kiir and previously served as the minister of the president's office. It wasn't immediately clear if Ayul's termination was linked to those of the defense and interior, which have threatened to destroy a fragile peace deal with opposition leader First Vice President Riek Machar. It's a normal business. People can be relieved and replaced, Kiir spokesperson Lily Martin Maniel said. Kiir and Machar's forces signed a peace agreement in 2018 that ended 5 years of civil war that killed 400,000 people and caused Africa's biggest refugee crisis since the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Implementation of the deal, known as the Revitalized Peace Agreement for South Sudan, has been slow, and the opposing forces have clashed frequently over disagreements about how to share power. Kiir and Machar were expected to meet on Thursday to try and resolve their differences following the dismissal of Defense Minister Angelina Tenny, who is also Machar's wife. Kiir handed to the Defense Ministry to his party, a role which, under the terms of the agreement, is meant to be appointed by Machar's party. Nigeria's Electoral Commission has postponed by a week Saturday's elections to choose new governors, saying it needed more time to reconfigure electronic machines that are at the center of last month's disputed presidential vote. The elections to pick governors in 28 of the country's 36 states will now be held on March 18. Governors are among the most influential politicians in Nigeria, Africa's biggest economy and largest oil producer. Independent National Electoral Commission said late on Wednesday it needed more time to reconfigure its bimodal voter accreditation system that uses fingerprints and facial recognition to identify voters and transmit results from the polling station. The same BVAS machines were used during last month's presidential and parliamentary votes. This decision has not been taken lightly, but it is necessary to ensure that there is adequate time to back up the data stored on over 176,000 machines from the presidential and National Assembly elections. We'll be heading into international news shortly.
The Evening Review is a daily interview-based talk show that dissects and expounds on current affairs as they occur in Namibia. The show aims at reaching Namibians of all age groups who seek better understanding of the state of current affairs in the country. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com, and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: Namibian Sun and Namibia Media Holdings. The Evening Review focuses on interviews, latest news, and up-to-the-minute current events. Contact evening at synergy.com.na. Evening Review, unpacking today's pertinent issues.
The United States has released a Saudi Arabian engineer who was imprisoned for more than 20 years at Guantanamo Bay military prison despite never being charged with suspected crimes following the September 11, 2001 attacks on the U.S. The U.S. Department of Defense said on Wednesday that Hassan al-Sharbi, 48, was returned to Saudi Arabia after a review board determined in February 2022 that his detention was no longer necessary to protect against a continuing significant threat to the national security of the United States. Al-Sharbi was transferred to Saudi Arabia subject to the implementation of a comprehensive set of security measures, including monitoring, travel restrictions, and continued information sharing, the Defense Department said in a statement. The Pentagon's Periodic Review Board ruled in 2022 that Al-Sharbi had no leadership or facilitator position in Al-Qaeda and was complainant in detention. It also said he had unspecified physical and mental health issues. The U.S. said Al-Sharbi had fled to Pakistan after the September 11 attacks and had received training in bomb making. He was arrested there the next year, allegedly tortured in custody, and sent to the Guantanamo prison camp. We'll be heading into local sports shortly, starting with some cricket.
Flex is your health and fitness show that focuses on the health of the mind, body, and spirit. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
The last round of Cricket Namibia's T20 Premier League will be played on Saturday in the capital, followed by the final on Sunday. United and Wanderers got each one game left, while CCD Tigers and Windhoek High School Old Boys got two each scheduled for Saturday. The current log standings are as follows: first, Wanderers 8 points, second, Tigers 4 points, third, Old Boys 0, and fourth, United also with 0. The Commerce Athletics champs on 1 April at the Independence Stadium under the theme We Are One. The Regional Schools Championships will be hosted in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth, Sport and National Service, the Governor of the Commerce Athletics Namibia and Namibia School Sports Union, the Namibia National Paralympic Committee and the Commerce School Sports Union. The Namibia Paralympic Committee has been asked to withdraw its team from the upcoming championships in South Africa by its prime benefactor, the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service. The annual South African Sports Association for Physically Disabled National Championships brings together athletes from 9 South African provinces and other Southern African countries to compete in various categories. The 2023 edition of the championships is scheduled for Cape Town, South Africa from 17 to 23 March 2023, where Team Namibia had plans of competing in para-athletics, para-powerlifting, Bolgia para-cycling and goalball. The Secretary General, Michael Hamunyela, said the NPC has set up a pathway to follow if they are to have enough slots for the upcoming 2024 Paris Paralympic Games. We'll be heading into international sports shortly. An Indonesian court on Thursday jailed 2 football match officials for negligence over one of the worst stadium disasters in sports history. The crash in October at a venue in East Java city of Malang killed 135 people after police fired tear gas into packed stands when supporters invaded the pitch. Hundreds of people fled for narrow exits, resulting in a stampede that left many trampled or suffocated to death. Abdul Harris, a match organizer, was found guilty of negligence and handed 18 months in prison. Prosecutors had sought a sentence of 6 years and 8 months. I am sentencing the defendant to a year and a half in prison, presiding Judge Abu Ahmad Sidi Amsiam told the court in the city of Surabaya. It is Indonesia's first ruling on the tragedy. The judges also found security official Suko Sutrisino guilty of negligence and sentenced him to 1 year in prison. It could be argued, and with plenty of justification, that this is the team that wins the local shield in the Vodacom United Rugby Championship that confirms itself as the top team in South Africa. The DHL Stormers have already done that. Yet while the Currie Cup is very much a secondary or feeder competition these days, it will be given added importance this year by John Dobson. The Stormers coach handed the coaching responsibilities of the DHL Western Province team to Jerome Parvota last season, but has decided to take the reins again in the competition that kicks off this coming weekend to align the next tier of players coming through with the Stormers' way of play. In other words, he's doing extra work. He could take this time with the Stormers team, has a 3-week break before the next URC game off to create the platform for sustained success going forward. Some of South Africa's most experienced long-distance runners will converge in Durban next week, with the top-flight domestic fields turning out in the race for national titles at the Durban International Marathon, incorporating the ASA Marathon Championships. Competing on the fast, flat course at sea level, a tough battle is expected and some fast times are on the cards in a quality women's lineup which features a handful of local stars: Jeanette Mbehele, KwaZulu-Natal, Annie Botma, Anne Ashworth. Stay with us as we head into the highlights shortly.
Kom kuier gerus elke Vrydag aand saam met Arjougar, waar hy vooruitskouing doen van wat op die sportvelde reg oor die wêreld gaan plaasvind. Daar word op die naweek se top internasionale sportgeleenthede gefokus en plaaslike sport in Namibië asook Suid-Afrika word in oënskou geneem. Die kenners praat saam en huidige asook oud spelers gee hul mening en ons hoor grootlik sommer uit die spreekwoordelike perd se bek. Niemand weet met sekerheid wat die naweek op die sportveld gaan gebeur nie, maar iemand weet wel watter faktore die uitslae kan beïnvloed. Ons praat met daardie iemand wat weet en soms word geheim ook uitgelaat. Vrydaande is ons in die tonnel gereed om uit te draf. Dit is jou Vrydag afspraak wat jou ingelig gaan hou alvordat die spelers uit die tonnel opdraf. Sport is ons passie. Sien jou in die tonnel.
Let's head into the highlights from this afternoon's broadcast. South Sudan President Salva Kiir on Wednesday sacked the foreign minister. The president's spokesperson said less than a week after the dismissal of ministers of defense and interior, and he did not provide an explanation. The United States has released a Saudi Arabian engineer who was imprisoned for more than 20 years at Guantanamo Bay military prison, despite never being charged with suspected crimes following the 9/11 attacks. And the Namibia Paralympic Committee has been asked to withdraw its team from the upcoming championships in South Africa by its prime benefactor, the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa and the world, ranging from current affairs to economic news, sports and international headlines. From me, Ashwin Berry, enjoy your afternoon.